do, Mill. He said, for the next 3 sessions, what I'd like for you to do is lead the group, because I can't be here, and you'll just do fine. So
that's such an acknowledgement. That's an acknowledgement of you as a leader of this. It's so great.
I moved from getting counseling to giving counseling in that session, in that segment of my life. And it really wasn't hard for me, because I made the decision to do what was next, what was necessary, and what seemed to be, and every step, it got me closer to who I was. So it seemed like the right direction to go. So when I started dressing, it was more of me. When I started wearing makeup, it was more of me. And after electrolysis, there was more of me available. And then finally, I decided to do surgery. And it wasn't like I decided to do the surgery and then all this other stuff came. It was like the next step, I did each step, and then the next step surgery seemed like the next best thing to do.
Let me ask you a question quickly here. Did you have one surgery, or did you have multiple surgeries?
No, I had them all at once.
Oh.
I was on the operating table for 8.5 hours.
Oh. That's quite a statement.
And I didn't have breast augmentation. I grew these. I'm real proud of them. My endocrinologist says, wow, Millie, you really were meant to be a woman. He likes playing with them. So the surgery was sort of like an acknowledgement of all the work I did to get that far. And the pain was caused by my relationships with other people in my life, because I lost friends, a lot of friends. They just couldn't deal with what I was going through and who I was. And there came to be a point in the middle where I had no one in my transition. I had no one. I couldn't count on anyone to relate to me. And then I started making new friends as Millie. And
that's the only person I've ever known you as is Millie. But and I've only had one little glimpse of Ernie. But I've known you as Millie, and everyone I know who knows you as Millie.
Yeah, I started all over again, making new friends and establishing new communities.
How long did you go? How long was it the middle point where there was no one? How long of a period of time was that? I imagine it was devastating. Would have been for me.
It was about 5 weeks.
Oh.
And I really rarely went out. I stayed in most of the time, and I didn't have any support or any friends in that period. And then when I started going out again as Millie, I started meeting new people and making new friends.
So great. So, and did anyone ever? I mean, I know. Listen, I'm not going to go into the history of where this happened, but I know that there was some pressure on you to not share this story at the place where I first met you. But did you ever find really any negative, aside from your past friends, when you've been upfront with people in life now? I imagine sometimes now you don't even talk about it, but do you find like a prejudice or a real negativity from people?
Not today, but in '93, in Washington, D.C., where most of my gay and lesbian friends were, it was open season on transsexuals. The police beat me up 2 or 3 times coming out of Ziegfeld's. And since then, we've done sensitivity training with the police department. That doesn't happen anymore, but it did back then. I had 2 real close friends that were transsexuals that worked in the sex industry, like we all did back then, to survive, and they were killed.
Oh.
And in the movie, that's brought out that my best friend Travis, that was a transsexual in transition, was killed, and the people in the city, I mean, like, her body was just sat in the morgue, and nobody claimed it. I mean, her parents didn't even think enough to check on it. And they buried him in an unmarked grave, and it took me 5 years to find it.
That's a terrible, it's a terrible reflection on the prejudices, and really, it shows us how important sex is, and how political sex is. I mean, I've thought this always, that sex and politics and power are really connected, and that someone to live in the comfort of who they know themselves to be is disallowed based on religion and right-wing thinking, and the threat, how threatened people are.
Yeah, they nail people to trees for that.
Yeah. So the thing you did, it was just very, very courageous. I mean, it took.
I've blazed a lot of trails for a lot of the young girls of today, and there's support groups and that they can contact in their areas. We have the internet now. We didn't back then. We have the internet. There's support for people. They don't have to do this on their own, like I did.
Yeah.
And that's the good news.
It was still a kind of relatively new operation in 1992, or
Yeah, it was. There was only three doctors doing it. There was Biber out in Colorado, and there was somebody in Montreal, and then there was Eugene Schrang in Wisconsin.
These are the doctors you're naming? This is how many doctors did the operation?
3.
3 doctors.
There were 3 places you could go that I researched that were within, that I could get to in the States or just across the line in Canada. I watched videos of their procedure. I talked to people that had gone to that doctor, and then I picked the cutest one to do my operation.
That's just like you. That's so great. I guess that's what I would have done too. That's adorable. So, Millie, I want to talk about your life now because...
Okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's amazing the transition that you went through. It's amazing that we met. It's amazing that someone else that I know and wanted to make a film of your life, and I'm so thrilled that she did. And so I want to talk about your life now, like your body. You said you grew your own breasts. You didn't have breast implants. I mean... I know everyone wants to know. I'm sure everybody wants to know. Like, when you're having sex now, I mean, you had sex as a man before, and you said earlier in the show that your former wife said that you were the best lover she ever had. So how's that working for you now? How are you as a woman? Do your partners say you're the best lover they ever had?
Well, I don't have any complaints. And once somebody's been in my bed, it's never the same for them again to have sex with anybody else. So I have a lot of people that contact me regularly.
You mean a lot of friends with benefits?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
I have this one friend who's a fireman who I I've known for 17 years. He and I got together before surgery when I was just first in transition. And he's been there for 17 years, and he's one of Millie's first friends. And he's got children, and his wife left him, I don't know, about 10 years ago, and he wanted me to come out and raise his children for him. I said no, done that already. But we're still in contact, and I have several friends like that I've met that just hang in there with me. And sex for me today is, as a woman, it's not so much about being penetrated. Well, sometimes it is something. It is like that sometimes, but most of the time, it's about drawing somebody in and absorbing them and having them close and into my center. And usually I have sex on my terms, and it's for what I want, because for years and years and years, when I had sex, it was about giving the other person pleasure.
Right.
I really never got that much out of it myself. And today it's all about what I want. And I think that's the best part.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And how does Tantra play in there?
Well, Tantra allowed me, with the exercises and the breathing and with the philosophy too, it allowed me to have a different relationship with sex. A different relationship entirely. I don't have sex just with my body. My spiritual self is involved, my mental self is involved, and of course my physical self is involved. But it's like all of that happens at the same time. There's no disassociation like there used to be. Used to be I'd have sex, have a release, and then I could be close.
Oh, that's a really critical point, because
that was as close as he was going to get.
Yeah.
To be a woman, and he settled for that for years and years. And now it's about, wow, this is for me. This is for me now. And Tantra has allowed me to take and expand the experience so that, one, it lasts as long as I want it to last, and two, I start with my arousal like a week before I ever have sex with anybody, and it just builds and builds and builds, and I have multiple orgasms. And each one sends me further and further and further over the top. And then finally I just have to stop because it gets to be almost painful.
Right.
That's kind of how it is for me now.
Yeah. It's a great description that you're giving, and it certainly answers the question, can you feel this as a woman? Has Tantra helped you expand your orgasm and expand your whole being ability to be present? And I love when you said you start building it a week before. I mean, what a lucky kind of way to deal with it. I mean, not that luck has anything to do with it, but you know what I mean. Like how lucky you are as a woman to be able to do that, to experience that.
And a woman my age, I don't have any trouble lubricating.
Mm-hmm.
I just get really, really wet. And most transsexuals don't. And most women my age don't. But I do, and I think Tantra played a big part in that.
Yeah, it does play a big part in that. I know personally. And I also know, there's students of mine who have called me. There was one, actually, who was on the show with me a long time ago. And she said she called me. She gave the story about how